Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a lot better now, yeah.
I don't know what the hell was going on. When I switched headphones, for some reason it wouldn't let me talk.
Well, I think we should probably just go with this because I can hear you pretty clear. Like, how do I sound? Am I fine?
Oh, yeah. Real loud and clear.
Okay, cool. Good deal.
Yeah, go ahead and start it out, and I'll rattle off some of these things that I picked up, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so we're going to act like that last 30 seconds didn't happen. And we're going to start it as if we just picked up right now.
Right.
Okay. Welcome to the podcast that explores mysterious disappearances, bizarre worldly occurrences, strange phenomenon, and basically everything that's weird. Okay, welcome to the podcast. Everything that's weird. Tonight, we are exploring the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. What is the significance of the disappearance of Brian Shaffer, Brandon?
I don't know if it does have a significance.
Well, I think the big one is he went into a bar and never left.
I'm sorry. What the significance is that you got a young, handsome, a medical student with everything going for him, walks into a bar and never comes back out again.
If he would have disappeared 5 years earlier, I would say he's with Sneha and Phillips. But no, you're right. He's a good-looking dude. He's really got everything going for him. He's in his second year of medical school, and he goes to the Ohio State University. And I don't know why do they always put that "the"?
Sound more important, I guess.
Yeah, as if there's like more than one Ohio State.
Right.
I mean, there's Ohio University, which,
right.
By the way, all the Bobcats out there, they have a killer Halloween.
Never been to their Halloween.
Well, if it usually falls right around the time of the time change.
Yeah.
And they've been known to set couches on fire and flip cop cars. Good times.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to riot when you could be at the bar for another hour?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
right.
I get it. So, okay. It's March 31st, 2006. This is his first night of spring break. He just finished studying for his finals. And at this point, he's a 27-year-old medical student. And like we said, he's a young guy. And he likes to cut loose. And this was not unlike any other night. So him and his friend, this guy named Clint Florence, they began their night at one of the bars on the campus called Ugly Tuna Saloona.
Mm-hmm. Award-winning name there. I mean, it sounds like if there was an app to come up with bar names, they just selected the default one at the beginning.
Right. I don't know what a saloona is.
No.
I think they just kind of put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have some kind of rhythm. And I hate to say it, it does. It makes me laugh when I hear it.
Yeah.
But it's in the it's on the campus of Ohio State, and it is known for being it's a dive bar.
Yeah.
It's a one-room bar. They have bands. They have cheap drinks. And if you don't want to go to a place where you have to get dressed up and wait in line, Ugly Tuna Saloona is your place. This particular night, it was packed. There's a lot of people there. It's pretty close to his apartment. He lives on a street called King Avenue. He leaves his car home that night and ends up meeting Clint, who we just said, around 9:15. And they're there, they're kicking back, they're having drinks.
Says it was about a 10-minute walk from his
right.
place.
It's close. It's a close jaunt.
Mm-hmm.
They leave. They stayed there for about 2 hours, then went up to the North Shore Tavern, which I'm assuming is relatively close because they walked there.
Mm-hmm.
Had a couple drinks there. Then 11:40, they go to Brothers Bar and Grill, where they run into Clint's friend, a girl named Meredith Reed. They have a few more shots, and they decide, you know what, man, you know where it's happening, the Ugly Tuna Saloon, and they decide to go back. And we've all had this night, right?
Right.
Yeah. Like, I know this pretty much describes every night that I go out when I'm in a city with more than one bar next to it. Right?
Right. Yeah.
You're like, let's go over there and see what's going on over there. And you have a couple drinks, and you're like, let's go over there and see what's going on over there.
Right.
And then you're like, we should have never left where we were.
It was real comfortable where we were at.
We had good seats.
Yeah.
I mean, the drinks were cheap. They're cheaper than they are here.
Yeah.
And we were having a good time. I guess about 1:15 is when 1:15 a.m. they start their way back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon, and it has an escalator up to a landing to where the entrance is.
Yeah.
And he is seen on closed circuit television coming up the escalator.
Yep, with Clint and Meredith.
Now, this has been, I guess they're drunk, but like everybody that they talked to that night said, he's just kind of cutting. He's not sloppy.
Didn't look like it on the escalator.
He seems like he's with it, and he's a big guy. He's 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They say he weighed like 175, 185 pounds. So he's a guy that can handle, a couple shots and drinks, and they're walking around. Mm-hmm. And it's March in Columbus, so it's relatively cool outside. So they're getting some fresh air, and they step out, and he ends up going to talk to these two girls.
Yeah, at some point he's seen again on the CCT talking to two girls, and they were both identified.
Right. Amber and Brighton are their names.
Yep.
They have a conversation right around the escalator. He sort of nods to them, and that's it. Now, last call is 2 a.m., and the bar was technically up until 2:30, to give people so they can have their drinks, finish them, and get out. Mm-hmm. Meredith finishes their drinks. She's getting ready to go, but then they're unable to find Brian. They have no idea where he is. Mm-hmm. They stand around. It's a one-room bar, so it's not like they're going, on a treasure hunt to find him. They're kind of looking for him. He's 6'2", and he's really just not there. Mm-hmm. Clint was there, and he tries to find him too, and he looks, and he goes to the bathroom. They call a few times, and they actually leave him a message like, where the hell did you go? Like, where are you? And that would be the last time anyone ever saw Brian Shaffer. So in his life at this time, he is kind of having a hard time. His mom was dealing with cancer and had recently passed. Mm-hmm. He was really tight with his mom. He loved his mom a lot. Yep. He was supposed to be meeting his brother And his brother, I don't know if he bailed or just had other plans. But
I think he just bailed. I think he just bailed.
Right, so you know how it is. You're like, hey, Brandon, let's go hang out. And you're like, totally. And then I call you that night and you're like, man, Rachel's got this thing and
right.
Tonight's like a terrible night. But you don't ever think you're never going to see me again.
Right.
And that's what it was for his brother. Now he's got a girlfriend. Her name is Alexis. She too is a second-year medical student.
Mm-hmm.
She did not go out that night. So her classes end, and she opts to go to her hometown of Toledo. Her dog, Ellie, was not doing very well. And I believe they're going to put the dog down. Is that correct?
I thought so, yeah.
I think that's what that's what's going to happen. But she planned on coming back to Columbus. This was going to be like a quick trip for her. Right. She was going to go up there. She was going to take care of
Shoot the dog.
Shoot the dog. Oh, old Yeller.
Yeah.
Come back. Because they had plans to go to Miami on Sunday.
Yeah, it was actually a present from his mom before the year before. It was a present to them from his mom before she passed.
So he's got to show up for the Miami trip, right? I mean, his mom gave it to him.
Right.
But when she gets there on Sunday, he's not there. She tried to call him and sort of has this mini panic attack that she can't get a hold of him because he was usually pretty good about getting back to her. But he was occasionally known to let his phone run out of charge.
Yeah.
So it wasn't completely alarming, but it was alarming that he didn't come home. And she went to his place. And she figured, well, maybe he was like, he partied a lot the night before. And he just slept it off somewhere. So Friday, he meets his dad at Outback Steakhouse. I told you I used to work at Outback Steakhouse.
Right.
Okay. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right.
Just so we can get an Outback
flex, man. Go ahead.
And by the way, Outback Steakhouse has excellent steaks. So if there is a sponsor out there.
I guarantee you they got the blooming onion.
They had to.
Right.
Probably a grilled shrimp on the Barbie. He doesn't look like a guy that eats fried food. He's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
But his dad kind of takes a mental note that he looks exhausted.
Yeah.
He didn't come out and say anything to him.
Yeah, it was a big regret of his. He wished he would have told him to take it easy, because he was thinking that in his head. He should be resting and relaxing, not partying right after finals. But
also, his mom died like a month, it's like a month before, right?
Yeah.
So his mom dies like a month before this. So, med school, I can't imagine. It's got to be stressful anyway. Because I don't think you're just allowed to get D's. You have to carry a certain average.
Not in the United States.
Right? Like, anywhere else, C's get degrees. But, I think in med school, you have to to excel. Mm-hmm. They expect you to work hard and know your stuff because you got to be on the cutting edge of medicine. So
it's like NASA. They don't want you just ballparking it.
Right. And his mom just died. So, I could see why his dad really didn't, go into it like, hey, man, you're looking tired. I mean, give the guy a break. His mom just died and he's in medical school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on Sunday, Alexis calls his dad. And she says that she's been in contact with most of his friends and they had not seen him since he was last at the Ugly Tuna Saloon. So she comes back, and Alexis goes to his apartment. She stays there and she waits for him, and she's trying to see what happened at his apartment, but nothing's really like out of place.
Yeah, nothing's missing, nothing important.
His cell phone's charger's still in the wall. His glasses are on the shelf where he normally kept them, and that kind of made her worry even more. Because if he was to go anywhere, he probably would have taken those two items, or his car, and his car was still parked where they parked it.
Yeah.
So his brother hadn't spoken to him since Friday evening, and that was when he called to see if he wanted to meet up, but he already had plans. They were supposed to go to a comedy club, and they were just tired, and they wanted to call it a night. And this is a decision he's regretted for a long time.
Yeah.
So his dad had his buddy was a detective, and asked her, it was actually a girl, asked her what he should do, but they give him the typical, you gotta wait 48 hours speech. What is that? You know what I mean?
We don't want to fuck with it right now, man.
I mean, like, I get it. Like, you don't want to jump to conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there's certain people that when you're like, hey, man, they're missing. And they're like, why don't we give the kidnapper a head start?
Right.
Why don't we? It's more challenging for us if we can wait and make it exponentially harder to find out what happened to them.
Right. It takes a while to dig a hole.
That's terrible.
It's hard work, man.
That's terrible. But so they begin searching for him by themselves, which just happens all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like, anytime I ever look into a disappearance of anybody, they're always like, well, what did you wait 48 hours? Well, I don't know why that's a thing, but that is the thing. And they start checking dumpsters, hospitals, jails. They start looking.
His girlfriend spent a lot of time checking dumpsters around town, from what I understand.
Right. But nothing happened. So there's no.
Well, I mean, it makes me wonder if, like, he had a history of ending up in dumpsters. Right. Or if they just were like, he's got to be dead and stuffed in a dumpster. I'm just trying to figure out which side they were on. Like, well, Brian, he's been known to jump in the dumpster.
I would never sleep in a dumpster.
I had my, I don't want to say any names but my brother had a friend of his, and back in the day, we were out on the town with somebody else, and they were taking us all these bars we'd never been to before we were young. Mm-hmm. And we got drunk, and we got back to this person's place, their apartment building. Well, my brother's buddy, he's wasted beyond belief, and at some point, shirt off, he's saying crazy stuff, wanting to fight everybody. He takes off outside, and we're kind of shaking our heads like, just let him go do something stupid, just leave us alone, and then eventually we were like, we better go find him, and we were walking all over the place. We started worrying, and it was like, we were looking around, and you hear this bong, and like, this dude was in the dumpster. He jumped in the dumpster.
Why?
He thinks he may have saw a cop, and he just jumped into the dumpster, and then I guess just immediately like passed out. because he was dead. We had to pick him up, carry him in, and of course we rode all over him, which was hilarious because we rode all over him, and he went into public.
So he wakes up with the Sharpie stash.
He had Sharpie stuff I can't repeat wrote on his forehead.
Well, that's scary though.
Yeah.
Because they take the garbage out and then you get crushed by a garbage truck.
Right. And
I party, but I guess I've never been jumping a dumpster drunk.
No, never.
I stopped right before.
I'm more like hide behind the dumpster drunk.
Right. I'll take the ticket from the cop drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been that drunk.
Right.
But they don't find him.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened. And the thing with Columbus, it has more surveillance cameras than any other city in Ohio.
Right.
Which I don't know why that is. I guess because of Ohio State.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna rename the city to Google.
Right. We're watching you. Well, hopefully, maybe if we talk about our podcast enough, it'll end up in our news feeds on Facebook.
Right.
So, okay.
I'd have to have a Facebook for that to happen, but I digress.
Oh, you don't have one?
No.
Good for you. You know what? I dropped it a long time ago.
Right.
Seriously, when I was looking for a car, and it kept popping up the model of car I was looking for when I would be talking about it, not even Googling it.
Right.
So they have him on surveillance tape, but they never have him. They have him going into the Ugly Tuna Saloon. They never have him leaving the Ugly Tuna Saloon, and they never find him. Nothing ever happens. Alexis tries. She prints up flyers. She's trying to see if anybody's seen him.
Mm-hmm. Dad hires a psychic.
Which is sad.
Yeah,
they have a reward for him.
Mm-hmm.
The psychic doesn't have any good
psychic abilities. Yeah, that's probably true. But
or outlook about it.
Right.
It's her I guess vision is that he's in some kind of water.
Right. So they switch from dumpsters to rivers.
And his dad and his brother go wading, looking in rivers to see if they can find any sign of him, or which there is. I've been you've been up there, right? So that's the Olentangy River. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So that area is pretty packed with people, but it's not like New York or San Francisco packed, but there's a lot of people.
Yeah, that river gets from what I've seen, it gets flooded a lot where it rushes, it rages through, and I think his brother or his dad almost drowned when they were searching, when they'd go wading through the water, and he got caught in a whirlpool or something and almost drowned.
Really?
Yeah. So they were risking life and limb to find him.
And Alexis is kind of in this limbo. She doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because her boyfriend / possibly fiance, because a lot of people thought this trip was when he was going to pop the question, is still missing.
Right.
So that's it for the background. He goes into a bar and never comes out. So now Why is it such a mystery that Brian Shaffer is missing and not automatically tragic? Even though people think something's wrong, he has this little rock star streak.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him and his dad taken, and he's got like his white lab coat on that doctors wear.
Mm-hmm.
And he's flashing the rock on symbol.
Right.
He was pretty free-spirited
Mm-hmm.
as far as guys go. He really was into music. He liked music a lot. In fact, that night he had been talking to a few of the musicians at the Ugly Tuna Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
He had a tattoo of the Pearl Jam guy.
Yeah, it's a Pearl Jam stick figure on his arm.
I was never really into Pearl Jam. I was more a Nirvana guy.
I like Pearl Jam.
The Yellow Ledbetter's good.
Mm-hmm.
The 10 album's good.
Yeah, Eddie Vedder actually stopped in the middle of a show and had a flyer of Brian Shaffer, and he stopped the show to talk about Brian Shaffer, to put the word out. And it kind of got like almost to the point where if I felt like if I was at the concert and Eddie Vedder stopped, I'd be like appreciating it first, like, yeah, we gotta find this dude. But then he started like going over all the information, and it was like, all right, play a fucking song, fuck Brian Shaffer. You know,
I'm sure
think
people probably said that.
I think I was like, at some point, I was like, all right, I get it. I'll look it up later. You know?
I'll be sure to tell other people I talked
Right?
to.
Jesus Christ. Play a song.
Play Yellow Ledbetter.
Yeah. Put the lyrics up.
Make me cry. Do that one where you blend in with Pink Floyd.
Right.
Yeah, but he did. Eddie Vedder did. He did give him a shout out, which was a solid move on Vedder's part.
It was.
Now it makes me feel immediately bad for saying I was more of a Nirvana guy. I still don't feel bad about that guy. I still don't feel bad.
Yeah.
But Brian Shaffer he had been through a lot. His mom just died. I don't know so much if it was like Snea Phillip, where he didn't want to be a doctor. I don't know if it was so much that.
It was, you know, he had actually said the words though. He said I don't remember if he said it to a friend or he posted it somewhere that, or friends said that he said, this doctor thing is just a temporary thing until my band gets going.
Right.
So he like several people had said he alluded to the fact that he was doing this doctor thing temporarily just to get enough money to get a band going.
But he didn't have a band, right?
I don't. You know, they kept saying that, and I'm like, I didn't see anything about a band.
It makes me wonder if like his band was like our podcast, where you know, like they had a few songs and nobody knew about it, and he was just waiting to unleash the fury.
Right. Yeah. Get that good one.
I can see that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to come out of the gate with, you know, a 2-song set.
Right.
You got to build up to a band.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to play in the street a little bit. You got to bust.
You do.
So.
Well, you have to have a set too. I mean, you know, you can't play all covers. You have to have some originals, and maybe maybe he did have a band. But you're right. He did say that to people, like, this doctor thing's temporary.
Yeah. He also said stuff like, I see myself living on a beach, you know, and drinking mixed drinks and playing music. So.
And for those of you that are listening and aren't geographically familiar with Columbus, Ohio, not the beach capital of the United States.
Nope.
In fact, Is there any water besides the river? There might be a cut.
It's landlocked. It's landlocked.
Is there even a lake close?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think there is. I'm trying to think.
One worth mentioning.
No, I really don't think there is. At least in Cincinnati, we have a couple close lakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Columbus, no.
Yeah.
So he had told some people that he kind of liked that traveling Jimmy Buffett lifestyle, and that was something he was really interested in. And his girlfriend at the time, she still is, looking for him, and she has really no clue as to what, like, as far as everybody knows, she wasn't let in on any kind of plan. Yeah. Because she's heartbroken, and she does eventually try to move on without him, but it's a bummer. I've seen interviews with her, and she's bummed out that, like, this is what happened.
Yeah, she eventually gets married and has kids,
right?
But that's long down the road. Yeah, she was downtrodden for quite a while.
So the last two girls that talked to him were friends of Clint. Is that right?
I think they just met those two girls in the bar, and the thing is that he gave one of the girls his phone, and she put her number in.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't sound like somebody's getting engaged.
Nope.
It does not.
Well,
maybe.
Maybe it does.
Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe still.
Maybe he's like, oh, getting engaged tomorrow.
Hurry up, get it in there.
Right?
We gotta knock one out.
I think it was, wasn't it? They were going to Miami the next day.
Yeah, they were. So Clint makes an interesting move at this point. He kind of gets questioned by police, and what does he do?
Well, they were doing lie detector tests, and everybody that was involved that was a witness agreed. Clint did not.
Don't ever do a lie detector test.
I don't trust it.
If you're listening to this podcast and you take one thing away from it, don't ever do a lie detector test. For one thing, you can beat it by taking a Xanax. Like, you take a Xanax, you'll beat the lie detector test because your body's like, fuck it.
Right?
I mean it. No, that's true. That's true. For another thing, if you have anxiety, you're going to fail. So if you're somebody that's anxious all the time,
right,
and you try to take a lie detector test,
right,
you will fail the lie detector test. And they also skew the questions so that it comes back and it makes you nervous when you answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And you breeze through the first couple ones, and then they're like, your name's Anthony. Yeah. You live in South Carolina. Yeah. You drive this. Yeah. You killed that guy. And you went to school in Ohio.
Put him in a dumpster.
Like, wait, no, yeah, no, yeah. Well, what is it? Is it no or yeah?
Right? Start looking like that kid on Making a Murderer.
Yeah. Oh God, that's a terrible shot. I couldn't watch that.
What they did to that kid was not right.
No, they do it to people all the time.
A kid totally thought he was going home.
They didn't do it to Clint though, because Clint lawyered up.
Yep.
Clint's like, nope, got a lawyer. I think I don't know what Clint's story is at this point, But
Clint said he's like stuck by the same thing every time. He said, I told the story to the police several times. I don't know what a lie detector's going to do or prove. They know my story.
and I understand that.
So according to him, there's no reason for him to lie, and it's over and done with.
And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you would subject yourself to something that...
But people listening, there's going to be people that, if there's people listening, they're gonna...
if we have listeners.
Yeah, right. So if they're listening, there's going to be the people that are on the complete other side. They're like, that's shady as hell that he doesn't want to take a lie detector test.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. But the thing is that he walked, and now if something happened prior to him and Meredith leaving and he was lying about what he saw then, that's one thing. But him and Meredith left the bar together. They waited outside for Brian at the end of their night when the bar was closing, and they did not see him, so they just assumed he had already walked home and they left. So Clint was not able to, be involved as to say that he removed the body.
Plus, this guy's 6'2", 170. Yeah. If Clint got in a fight with Brian, although they have been known to bicker back and forth.
Even that night, they said that they
kind of got into it about something, and nobody really knew what it was.
Right, but that's if they're close friends, that shit ain't no big deal.
So, another theory is that these girls gave him something, or hooked him up with somebody that gave him something, maybe at the restaurant.
Right, which is why the number went into the phone. But according to the police, though, those girls were completely cleared of any wrongdoing.
Well,
according to her, she put her number in the phone, and then she said, I'm going to the bathroom, which is probably that head nod you see in the camera, the little... Right? And she walks in to go to the bathroom, and then you see Brian kind of follow into the bar, and she says that was the last time she saw him. When she came out of the bar, she couldn't find him, or the bathroom, she couldn't find him again.
So this place is long gone, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So I don't really know what the inside of it looked like as far as where the doors were for anything. Did they have food?
I don't know if they had food. I don't think they were that.
What's the definition of a saloona? Does that mean you have
to... I thought I had wooden swinging doors on it.
Right? What are you, yellow? But yeah, so I don't really know what the... Okay, so the theory is that somebody gave him either a number or a contact of a person.
Okay, it's still open.
No way.
Yeah, it's still open. I'm looking at their website right now.
All right, well then, is there a virtual tour of the place?
It's kind of going through the pictures on the top thing right now, and
all right, so
it's packed.
I'll keep talking.
I can see where he would not be able to see him across the bar.
Is it called the Ugly Tuna? Oh wait, no.
The Ugly Tuna Saloon.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So you keep looking. I'll keep talking.
It says the Ugly Tuna 2 now. It's the Ugly Tuna 2 now. But it still maintains the Ugly Tuna Saloon sign on the outside.
They had some tax issues. They have a menu. They have a menu.
Yeah. I don't know if they did at the time he went missing, but yeah.
All right. So, you're not getting... this isn't a place where you get a filet mignon and you can get ugly sticks, which are mozzarella sticks.
Right.
The ugly stick is funny. That's pretty... I don't know who came up with that, but that's pretty funny. Okay, so the theory is that, these girls gave either their number to him so that he could get some cocaine.
Yeah.
Some kind of speed off of them.
Right.
And maybe this, maybe like the speed was, maybe like the speed, cocaine, whatever it was, like an upper of some kind.
Yeah.
Led to his demise.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe him and Clint are kind of like, this is what they do. They go out and party, and occasionally they get some Columbia Bam Bam. I don't know, but that's kind of like what the theory is with him talking to these girls and getting some blow,
Right.
some cocaine.
Yeah.
He talks to the band for a long time.
Yeah.
In fact, like,
which is a very cocaine thing to do.
Very cocaine thing to do. He talks to the band for a very long time.
All right.
And they're kind of wrapping up their thing, and he's kind of over there chit-chatting. And this really isn't, like, out of the ordinary. Mm-hmm. Almost like he does it all the time.
Right.
Because he's really interested in that. He's really loves music. He really wants to be a bohemian.
Yeah.
He wants to be somebody that's free-spirited, can move about.
He's got to find out how to start a band, so he's asking that probably.
He's like, do you get tattoos first?
I got this one.
I have leather pants. Like, does that? And I think that's about it for, like, this conspiracy setup. I mean, he is not in a crazy amount of debt. At least they don't they don't mention it.
No, there's a suicide theory too. Most of the families dismiss that out of hand, but
because he never leaves a note, right?
There was a lot of people that said that his mother's death was hitting him hard. Like, there was a couple times where he had said crazy stuff, and even to his girlfriend, at one point told her, like, the night before they got into a fight or something like that, and he told her to go away and never come back or something like that they were done. And, like, this stuff came out later, like that he was not doing well handling his mom's death, and that he'd been real depressed, and he was saying stuff that was usually not his style to say. And
well,
that would you could play off that. The thing is, though, is like you said, there's no suicide note. People who kill themselves typically want to be found or don't care if they're hidden.
Right.
So you usually don't go hide to kill yourself. Usually you do it somewhere where somebody's going to end up finding you. Maybe that's not why you chose it, but that's where it was, and it's usually somebody finds you.
You usually settle up some unfinished business too, like especially with maybe your brother, or her,
right?
You know?
So, and it's important to note that there was the bar. I think the bar owner got questioned and cleared too, because there was rumors about maybe that the bar owner had found him OD'd on whatever drug it was he was getting, and tried to cover it up so his bar wouldn't take the hit.
And maybe that's why they get back to the Ugly Tuna Saluna to get tickets. You know that's a place where you can go. You're under the radar, and if you want some cocaine, you could probably run into one there. You could run into a bump there very easily. And maybe you don't want a whole bunch. You just want a little bit. You probably could find it there.
Yeah.
So that has some legs. Clint has some legs. The girls have some legs. Him wanting to move on, that kind of has some legs. He's stressed, man.
And then the big one that everybody was pushing was that he faked his death so that he could go to some beach somewhere and be a musician.
He's a rocker.
Yeah, but he's like, it's hard to be a rock star when everybody's looking for you.
Right.
And then not be found. I mean, you got to suck at music for that shit to happen.
or play bass so nobody cares.
All the bass players.
The only bass player who's famous is Flea.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there's other ones, but
what's his name from Primus?
Yeah, I played bass in our band and nobody cared.
Mm-hmm. You're the shadowy guy in the back corner.
Right. But you're right. Like, if you want to leave and become a rock star, people are going to be like, yeah, man, that's Brian Shaffer. Especially, we always say that the time of technology.
Yeah.
We should coin that phrase, the time of technology, because certain things happen at a certain time with technology. This, unfortunately for him, Google's up and running. YouTube is up and running. LinkedIn is up and running. Facebook is up and running. Although I think more people are on MySpace, but still.
Yeah, none of that stuff was real popular then, though.
Yeah, but MySpace, people had MySpace.
Except for MySpace.
Right.
Was.
And Google, people use Google. I mean, Google came out in 2005. I think it went public in 2005. And, you know, it was Tiger Woods. It was everybody that, I mean, when it launched, all the heavy hitters got on Google. So, like, Google came out swinging.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the tool that everybody used, especially in 2006. I was already using Google way before then, but, like, especially in 2006, that was like a go-to. Like, people said, Google it,
right?
You know, then.
Yeah.
And if you're him, you want to get lost. Well, you know, it's a time where you have to be pretty crafty.
Yeah.
So that is where we're at with the setup, and we should think about what a solution to this story is. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. Second, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. Second, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Well, I always go first. Why don't you go first on this one?
Okay, so I got a couple of them.
Okay.
One of them makes sense and one of them's a stretch. But I think that there may or may not have been something to do with those girls whether they were the hookup, where they were the go-to to get we know a guy, or I think and I hate to say it when the bar's open. Now one of my theories is like I'm about to indict some people that may still work there. But I do think that there is a chance that if anybody was going to get somebody out of a bar, the guy that owns it is going to know the best way. Now, when you talked about the scene and the police investigation, the reason why they were searching that camera to see him going up and down the escalator is because according to them, there wasn't a realistic way out. There was one service exit that that wasn't on camera that he could have gone out, and it led to a construction site. And the construction site back there was there, there's this possibility that he fell in there drunk and the construction crew didn't notice him and he got buried under stuff. That's a little far-fetched for me, but so if knowing that that's the only way out and that they searched that area with police dogs, so if his body was still in there, the dogs would have sniffed him out.
Agreed.
So to get him out of the bar, it would take somebody, without being seen, it would take somebody that knew the bar the best, I think. And what my theory is that there was this drug activity. He was, because the whole night, they were talking about his dad earlier that day was saying he looked like he was deadbeat tired, like he was just completely drained. And he went out that night, after his dad ate dinner with him and he looked drained. He went out that night. He was up until 2 a.m. And you see him on the cameras. He's not looking like he's stumbling and falling around or throwing his arms up in the air and partying real hard, because there's a guy on camera doing that right next to him. And he looks like he's got his wits about him. And that, when they are saying we did shots at every bar we went to, shot and a beer at every bar we went to, that's not showing up. Kind of makes me think that there was some drugs involved keeping him in the upright. So what if he was trying to keep up with these girls and went a little too far, goes in the bathroom, he goes into cardiac arrest, he gets found by the bar owner or maybe another person that worked there that was in, tight, and they get rid of him, and they got bleach and all kinds of stuff in the bar.
Has he ever had any kind of thing with the cardiac does he have a cardiac problem?
No, I was just thinking like if he overdosed.
I'm thinking I hear you. I'm just asking, like, as far as you know.
As far as I know, he doesn't, but as far as I know, he didn't have a history of drug use either.
That's true.
So it's just a theory that, like, because he did go into the bar. You see that, and he did not come out. They said they watched they said there was a slim possibility that he could have disguised himself to get out the bar, but that lends to he ran off to the beach somewhere theory. And I think it was a little easier than that. I think he died, and I think his death got covered up. And that's the one theory that I have, is that the fix was in with the bar. So
if he died, you're saying he died at the bar.
He died at the bar from his own activity, and
they used bleach.
Yeah, they got all the cleaners in the bar that they could use to clean up there if they needed to.
Did they ever bring cadaver dogs through like the ugly tuna window?
I think all through the place, all through that area, and even down by the river and everything.
But the whole place smells like death.
Yeah, they found like 2 other dead bodies that weren't the right one. So. But no, I mean, I think like in my head, I'm thinking if there's only, if it's very hard to get out of this bar without being seen, then you'd have to be in the know. You'd have to be close to it, and that could be the bar owner, but it could just as easily be the drug dealer that's always at that bar. He could have, done a line with the dude, and he started convulsing and hit the floor, and he panicked and drug him outside where that construction site was, hit him, came and picked him up the next day, drove him somewhere and buried him, threw him in the river or something. Could have been right.
That was a Friday. They probably weren't working Saturday.
Right. And even if they were, if you're like, I'm just going to do it until the coast is clear and everybody's kind of off the streets, then you can come and sneak up the back way, because there weren't a lot of cameras back there with the construction site, and they go back there and they throw him in the car and then they drive away. So it could have been, I don't know exactly who it was, and just for the sake that this place is still open, I'm going to go and say that it was whatever guy was selling him drugs or doing drugs with him.
So you think the guy that actually sold him drugs did the drugs with him?
Could have been the guy that got rid of the body, because he might have been freaking out that the guy died on him, and he didn't know what to do. People do dumb shit when people OD.
It's a Pulp Fiction situation.
Yeah, they do it a lot. I mean, like, you've heard stories. Everybody's got a story about somebody getting dropped off on a
do
ER.
they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually know a guy that they were freaked out about getting busted, and he OD'd. He was eating morphine patches, and they dropped him off at the ER, but nobody knew that he dropped him off.
Brandon,
he died in the parking lot.
Oh my God. See, I was going to make a joke. I was gonna say, if I had a nickel for every time I've eaten a morphine patch,
right? So
why was he eating morphine?
I don't know. It was a thing, I guess, but I don't know. That's insanity.
God,
right. Just put it on your arm, man.
Right. That's for.
Anyway, my other theory is.
So let me just say that theory is. I would say that's probable. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so when I was doing research on this at one point, I came across the age progression photo that they were using.
God, I've been looking for that. The whole time we've been on here.
They had this thing. And now if you can find it, I might be a little off, but the age progression photo, and you got to figure that they probably got a little bit of error going on, but his age progression photo, it looked like de Blasio. Brian Shaffer may be the mayor of New York.
It'll make sense. Super smart.
Oh shit! I just thought it was funny when I looked at it. I was like, that looks like somebody.
Okay, I'm trying to see it now. I can't find it. Well,
but that's that. That first one. That's the feeling I got.
Is that something happened in the restaurant?
Just something happened in the bar, and somebody covered it up.
Probable. I would say that is probable. So when we first did this, we didn't really say this at the beginning of the episode. We never really talked about it. So we've actually done this episode before.
Right.
So we did this episode because we had a bad recording. And this would be the redux, as the French say. Our original one was terrible. So we're re-recording, and when we did the first one, after further consideration, I kind of reversed my position a little bit. I did think at first I did think, yeah, he passed out, got beat up, or something happened to him, and he got put into the river or the construction area, and they hurried up and buried him in the shallow grave. And then they poured cement for him forever to be lost, right? I really, that was my original position.
Mm-hmm.
I am sort of in agreement with you that he bought drugs at the bar, but I've worked in chain restaurants. There's no way you're keeping all those people quiet. For one thing, somebody hates somebody else at a chain restaurant. Guaranteed. It's usually girls, but sometimes it's guys too. And if a girl found a dead body or a guy found a dead body, that's kind of something that, not that happens, but you wouldn't necessarily be at fault. Even if they're doing a hard drug like cocaine, even if that like brings a bunch of attention to your bar, you don't sell cocaine.
Well, unless you are selling cocaine.
But you sell alcohol.
Right.
And I don't think, like, the fact that he went missing at the bar alone is automatically going to start an investigation. So if you're the owner of the Ugly Tuna Saloon, you're already getting investigated. Like they're already looking at your bank account. They're looking at your personal life. They're asking people questions like, "What about Ugly Tuna Saloon?
Right.
What kind of name is that? Is that a code name for cocaine?" Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like one.
It sounds like one. Is that new in the streets that we don't know about? So, like, I don't think he was found in the restaurant. There's also a theory that we didn't touch on because it's kind of a quick one, but the smiley face killers, that he fits right into the definition of what the smiley face killers do. And they go after athletic, smart, young, professional guys.
Brian Shaffer.
That have Brian Schaffers. They go after Brian Schaffers. The only difference is he would be one of the only ones that was never found.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really give that much credibility.
Right.
I don't really give the construction thing capability because just like so I've worked construction a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Construction is a lot like a chain restaurant. You have people that don't like each other. You have guys that work for other guys and they get heated and they say shit and they secretly want to kick each other's ass, right?
Right.
Nothing would be better to hold over somebody's head that you covered up a dead person. And I did think at the beginning, like, well, it's a pain in the ass to have a dead person on a construction site because now it's a murder scene.
Mm-hmm.
And you may be behind on schedule. And now you got contractors and shit breathing down your neck. You may get fired if this thing doesn't hit the timetable you're supposed to hit. And you report a murder or a dead body.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be like, okay, go ahead and finish work, guys, and we'll deal with it.
Right.
It's gonna be a murder scene.
Yep.
And they're gonna do everything. They're gonna rope it off. They're gonna bring out detectives. They're gonna like look. And I originally thought that was what probably happened, but again, you'd be banking on one guy getting there before everyone else on a Saturday, and that just doesn't happen. Because on Saturdays, I thought about this. On Saturdays, if you're working on Saturday,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know how many construction crews on big projects you've been a part of, but in my experience,
18 years of it.
Okay, what do they do on Saturday? They get there early so they can leave early.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, if we have to be here Saturday, we're starting at 7, or we're starting at 6:30, so that we can be done at noon. Because we already don't want to be here on Saturday. We're not taking lunch. We're not going to take cigarette breaks. We're going to work a solid 6.5 or 7 hours. I'll pay you guys for 8 or 9 hours. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get out of here at noon, get all of our shit done and leave. And everybody's kind of on board with that. Because they're like, fuck it, man. It's the last day of the week. You know, we're probably in overtime anyway. We're getting a couple extra hours. So it's not like you're showing up to the job early. Like, you're not going to be the only... Now, on a Wednesday, if this would have happened on a Wednesday, yeah, there's a guy there at 6.
Yeah.
There's a guy there at 6 and nobody else is there. But on a Saturday, I just don't believe on a big construction project like that, if you're even working.
If they're on a Saturday and you see a dead body, then you're going to be like, if it's anything like my guys and they don't want to be there, and they see one water drop hit the roof,
They're
like,
out.
"Oh, we're done, right?" So, so if they saw a dead body, that's an out. They'd be like, "Oh, dead body, we got to stop."
I am
There's a
not
dead
working
body right
around a dead body. I'm not care. I'm not going to step over.
I don't even know what he
cabin.
died from. It could be some contagious disease. I'm out.
He probably died because you worked him too hard and didn't come on a Saturday.
Well, I always tell them if somebody dies, we work for another hour and then we pack up.
By the way, I heard a funny joke today. This guy, so I bartend at this place here, and this guy said, "You know the difference between Irish funeral and an Irish wedding?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, at an Irish wedding, it's the same amount of drunk people. There's just one more." Which is pretty funny. So I don't think the construction site, after further consideration, I don't think the construction site thing happened. I don't think.
I mean, it's one of those things when you were just on paper or you're just hearing it, and they say there's this one back door and it leads to a construction site. You're like, well, fuck, Shaggy, you just figured it out.
But like, if you work construction, just like I said, it's exactly what I said. If you're working Saturday, what do? You go in early and you leave early because nobody wants to be there. And they're like, fuck, if we're going to be here, fuck it. I'll either go out Friday and get no sleep so I can do my job, be out early on Saturday, catch a nap, and go out Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that those guys are in. That if they even worked.
Yeah, I don't even know if they did.
I don't even know if they did either because most construction sites don't.
Yeah.
Unless they're behind schedule. And, 2006, I mean, the economy was doing good. Maybe they did, but again, there wouldn't be just one guy there. I am leaning towards. I hate to say this because I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I kind of think he left. Now I don't know where he went,
right?
But he never boarded the plane in Miami. He didn't take his car. And I never heard about his passport or anything else like that. But again...
I think that was at his house. I think it was at his apartment.
I think it was. But he had his ID. And in 2006, you could get into Mexico with an ID.
Right.
And Mexico they don't cooperate with Google or they don't cooperate. There's I think there is Google Earth now, but there wasn't in 2006. They don't cooperate with the FBI. They don't cooperate with these searches for Americans. They want Americans to go there because Americans have money. They want Americans there because Americans work. They want to work out of the way. And although he wasn't positively identified, there's a picture of a guy in Mexico that fits his description that somebody took of a homeless guy in Mexico. And it was never verified. But, if life is too much, I always feel like, yeah, you could kill yourself, but then that's tragic. And what would happen to you if you killed yourself? But if you left, then you're just gone. Now, there was later, his dad dies in this crazy, tragic accident.
Yeah, tree branch fell on him.
God damn it, right? So his poor brother loses his mom to cancer. His dad goes missing. His brother goes missing. And then his dad gets hit with a tree branch. So he's poor guy's by himself,
Right.
And you were right. He was starting to unravel. And I could see people, sometimes they check out. It's like a me, myself, and Irene situation where they snap. And somebody like him who really wants to just be like a free spirit, but like, I don't know if he was expected to be a doctor, but like everything's going for him.
Yeah, he had a lot going for him. Yeah,
He had a lot going for him, and then, you know, he's not failing or anything. He finds no fulfillment in it. Mm-hmm. And I think he left. I think he went to Mexico, because you can get lost in Mexico. That's a place you can go. Mexico City's gigantic. There's several border towns. There's several cities you can go to in Mexico. Rent a room. Nobody will ever say, because Mexican people are cool.
Right. There's not a lot of beaches in Canada, so.
Right. And Mexican people are like, you want to rent a room? Totally. That's $150 a month, bro.
Right.
And like, you pay me cash. I don't give a shit. I don't even know what your name is. I don't care. Because my brother and 75 of my cousins will hunt you down if you fuck my place up. You know what I mean? So, like, I kind of think he went to Mexico. And I kind of think that's what he's doing. He's too big of a guy to be dragged out. He's too big of a guy to just have his ass kicked. Because they questioned everyone.
Yeah.
They didn't just question Clint and the girls. They questioned everybody. And you know what they do when they question you? They bring you in, and you know, you have your hands on the desk, and they're like, how do you know? Blah, blah. And they start asking you mundane questions to get your mind off of what they're really looking at. Like, does he have scratches on his face? Are his hands bruised? Does he have bruises on his body? Right. Does he have a black eye? Does he have cuts anywhere? Like, and Brian Shaffer is a guy that you're not just gonna like smack around.
No, he's got there's like a couple pictures of him too, shirt off,
he's fucking jacked,
he's ripped.
dude.
Yeah, he's
fucking
ripped,
jacked. You don't just beat that dude up. And maybe he overdosed, but then there's the whole cleanup thing, and that leaves a trail. Mm-hmm. Is it dumb luck that he dodged all these security cameras and nobody sees him? Yeah, but if he has a hat on indirectly and just kind of leaves, and then people are looking for him, and then, you know, hides out, maybe he stays in Columbus for like 2-3 weeks before anybody even knows anything about him. And maybe the reason he doesn't want to take the breathalyzer, the lie detector, is because he knows where he's at.
Yeah, it's plausible.
Because of what he says, what could they learn from you? Well, what they could learn from you is, do you know where Brian Shaffer is? That's what they could learn from him.
Right.
So, I'm going to say it's inconclusive. I don't have it for sure. I felt very strongly about Snea. I don't feel strongly about Brian Shaffer, but in any direction. If I was going to pick one thing, I would say that he left.
Mm-hmm.
But
makes you feel good to say that.
It makes me feel good to say that, and I don't have any proof either way, so that's what I'm going to go with. And I think it's inconclusive.
All right. Now, did you get I sent you a picture to your phone.
All right. The one we're on?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he does look like Labazia.
So that's my other theory, is that he's living the high life as the mayor of New York.
The mayor of New York.
Nobody knows it.
So do you feel conclusive on yours, or do you feel inconclusive?
No, you kind of shredded it, so.
You want to go with inconclusive?
I've been inconclusive. I've tried to imagine.
This one,
it's hard. This is just, it's a weird thing that he walked into that place on camera and never came out of it.
It is bizarre. It's bizarre. And especially with so many cameras around. Yeah. And he just doesn't come out.
Yeah. And they got cameras all down the streets. He would have been on foot. It's this is a hard one to figure out, to wrap your head around. It's aliens, maybe.
Yeah, because there was some other stuff. His dad had when his dad passed. There's somebody puts a note online that says he's in the Virgin Islands, but the Virgin Islands are part of the United States. You can get there without a passport.
Right, and they tracked the URL of that, and
it was
out the state sign. Yeah, it was fucking. I made like an internet cafe or a library or something, public access computer. Somebody sent it from in the stateside.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with inclusive on this one. All right. Well, I'm Anthony.
I'm Brandon.
And this is Everything That's Weird.